And welcome back to another episode of the Korok Seed Master Mode Challenge. Today we are starting off in the highlands above the Gerudo Desert, but we will be shortly making our way to much lower and warmer ground. And as we go off in the direction to hunt down the 20 seeds that we'll be tracking down today, I invite you to check and see if you are subscribed to the channel. If you're not, please take a moment and do so. And don't forget to leave a like on this video if you found it helpful and or enjoyable. With all that being said, let's have a look at today's seeds. So the first seed of our adventure, seed number 721, is going to be a pattern puzzle, unlike any of the patterns that we've seen previously, where instead of filling in a hole or completing a pattern, there is a predestined area that we will need to slot this rock into. And it's over here in this formation that is the northmost of these rocks. You'll just want to plop down the stone that we've recently acquired into the very center of this hole. I know I threw it across the area just there, but placing it down gently in the center of that circle is going to get you the seed that you're looking for and the one that you came searching for. So that worked very well, apart from, the obvious mishap of chucking it across the plateau. But we can now move along to seed number 722, which is a magnesis puzzle that is embedded on a canyon wall. This one is very simple. We've just got to drag the magnesis block over to the leftmost statue and place it in the bottom component of the adjoining formation. And that gets the seed from this location as well. We can then tick over to the following seed of our adventure, which is seed number 723. It's up on a cliffside. Just gotta pick up the rock and collect the seed from the little guy who was guarding it and keeping it safe for us. And as soon as we've interacted with him, we can go ahead and drop the rock back on top of his head and give him some safety from this scorching sunlight. Seed number 724 is going to be another similar seed, just on a lower, more grassy outcropping. And we will give this little guy the exact same treatment that we gave his buddy right before, as that fox runs away into the distance. Seed number 725 is going to be another episode of the Rock Basketball Challenge here. And I unfortunately get a couple of these throws mixed away. I think I got a little flustered due to the presence of this small little Chuchu. But at the end of the day, he doesn't do too much damage, and I wasn't overly concerned about needing to take him down. But with that third shot, we get the rock right into the center of the spires, and that gets us the seed from this spot, before allowing us to move on to seed number 726. Which is going to be another rock, this time nestled within the canopy of a tree. And we'll just want to slowly and surely climb and leap our way up to the top portion of this tree here in order to claim our prize. Now, the troubling thing about this seed is there is a fire wizrobe hanging out somewhere nearby, and he might give you some grief as you're trying to track down this seed. But at the end of the day, it was pretty simple for us to climb up into that tree and grab the seed from this guy before giving him some shelter from the onslaught of fire. And thank goodness these trees don't catch flame when they are introduced to the fire attacks from those wizrobes. We'll then double back around, heading back in the direction of Mount Satori, and put an apple in this little statue's tray. And that will grant us another seed in our overall adventure. It's not close to Mount Satori, but you did see that in the beginning of the clip with the blue mist over the top of the mountain, meaning that the Lord of the Mountain was there that night. Seed number 728 is another rock just hanging out down on a grassy knoll, and we can pick that up, claim our prize, and give him a little bit more shelter before moving on to our next objective, which is going to be seed number 729. This one is also nestled up in a canopy. It actually looks fairly similar to the tree that we saw just a seed or two ago. And we'll want to grab the seed here. And this time, we're going to give this guy the same treatment, but with all the difference in why we are giving him the cover or dropping the rock back down on his head. And this time, well, it's more protection from the actual elements because it's rainy. And that didn't pan out as best as I was hoping it to, unfortunately. Seed number 730 is going to be in this ruin type area, we'll want to climb our way to the top of this wall. It's a wall that stands alone on its own. It doesn't have any other adjoining pieces to it. And we'll just want to lift the rock off the top of that portion and claim our prize from here. You do want to be a little bit cautious as there are some Lizalfos patrolling the area here, so don't get too lax with it. Drop the seed back down on top of his head and move along to seed number 731, which is going to be a quest where we hunt down a flower trail. And this one doesn't have you really climbing up anything except for in the initial location point of that flower, as it's located up on top of a tree stump. And we'll just make our way down through this small little grove of trees and avoid the deer as they come around. Nice little hardy truffle there on the ground. That's never a bad thing to have in your back pocket. And just like that, it's one of the easier flower pattern and flower path puzzles that we've done in the entirety of our adventure so far. But let's jump on to seed number 732, which is going to be another magnesis puzzle. This one is hidden very low in the depths of the river, and you can just manage to get it, though you will need to get your ankles just a little bit wet in order to get down to where it's located. And this, after analyzing it for a moment, you'll find that it belongs on that topmost pattern or structure for these formations. And upon sliding this block into that notch that's over on the left-hand side currently, you'll be able to claim that reward. Now, this wasn't working as well as I'd hoped it would from this angle, so I did go ahead and release and just adjust it from this side, which made things a little bit easier. Dropping it into place grants us the reward from this location, and I think that's just about it for the magnesis-related puzzles that we'll be dealing with today. But we can then move on to seed number 733, which is going to be this little rock hanging out in a well. Luckily, this well isn't very deep. It's since dried up and filled up to the brim, so we can access this rock very easily, and then drop that rock to give him a little more cover before running off to this large tree stump. Now, this is not the actual location of the seed that we're going after, but I thought that it might be a little bit interesting to kind of talk about this ancient tree stump here. And that is mainly due to the fact that the ancient tree stump is the home of the ancient flame, or the great flame blade. And you can actually come around and grab this flame blade once every time a blood moon has occurred, as that is a weapon that will reset. You will have to fight these guys for it, but they're not the most difficult enemies in the game. They're the striped bokoblin and moblin, and they're not that bad. You can actually even fly in and avoid that guy back behind you entirely. I am going to trade off my flame blade for the greater flame blade. Even though it is a two-handed weapon, I do think that it's a little bit better in terms of the overall damage and utility that it has. And then you'll want to make sure you put down a Cryonis block before jumping into the circle of the lily pads, so you have yourself an escape from these Lizalfo infested waters. Seed number 735 is going to be a singular apple that's needed. You can actually pluck it from the tree immediately next to this statue. There will probably be a couple of additional apples there as well, but we've got plenty out of our resources in our traveling pack, so we can just pull one out and drop it into the statue. But it never hurts to have apples on hand, so why not harvest them while you can. This next seed does not need to be done from the back of a horse or a deer, but since it was here, I thought that it might be kind of fun. So we've got our deer mounted, and it's just inside this little grove. You can probably see the acorn inside the notch of that tree over here on the left-hand side of the screen. So we'll just go ahead and pop a shot in there with a standard arrow, and that will net us the seed from this locale. We can then move along to the next location we're after, which will be seed number 737, and that is going to be a nice little tree stump that will need to move the magnesis ball down, up and around into the hole in the very center, and that worked out pretty well for us also. Now, I did have a bit of an interesting interaction with some enemies right here on the beach as I was making my way to the next area, and that was an encounter with some large Chuchus. Now, I knew that moblins and bokoblins couldn't swim, but I was unaware that Chuchus are unable to swim, and they don't deal a whole lot of damage, but yeah, they just burst into flame, or not flame, but they burst into pieces and die instantly upon getting in water that is too deep for them. So, I mean, that might be kind of useful, especially because the moblins and bokoblins will not get close enough to do that to themselves. Seed number 738 is a seed type that we haven't seen in a while. It's another installment of the Hyrule Curling. So you'll just want to pop up a Cryonis block and then use it to bounce or slide the rock across into the Spire formation in order to claim the seeds from this place. And hopefully we get to see a few more of those because they're a lot of fun. Seed number 739 is going to be a pattern completion with this rock. You'll just want to grab it, walk it up the hill to the rocks that are over here on the right, and then drop it right at the top to complete the triangle formation. And with that, you can claim your reward and move right on along to what will be today's final seed. And that is going to be seed number 740. Which is an archery puzzle that we haven't seen the likes of this recently. Now, this is a couple of small arrows that pop up over the canopies of the trees, and my best recommendation for this is to either use a Fenric bow or a gold bow, as it allows you to hone in exactly to the arrow's location, and it basically acts like a sniper rifle, or the equivalent of a sniper in the Legend of Zelda time frame. Because you can hone in exactly on where those arrows are, and it's not exactly hit scan, but you get there pretty quick when loosing the arrow. But that's going to do it for today's episode. If you enjoyed, please feel free to leave a like. Don't forget to subscribe for more daily content, and we'll be back tomorrow with the next installment in our Ultimate Alliance 3 gameplay. And next week, when we get back to Breath of the Wild, we will head over to the Colosseum off there in the distance. With that being said, have a great rest of your day.